Oh, here we go.
Good morning, recruiting junkies. Apologies for being a little bit late. Simon and I were nattering away in the green room, and then we looked at the clock and it was like 9:02, and we were like, "Oh my god, we should be live!" So, for those that don't know Simon, this is Simon Lewis, leader of the Members Only Leaders Network, and he's here to share with us business models and things recruiters are doing to stay alive. So, hey, Simon, introduce yourself and tell us what you do, more than what I've said already.
Well, I don't know. I'm doing everything at the moment, Alex. But as you mentioned there, I'm Simon Lewis. I run the Members Only Recruitment Leader Network. So we're a collection of business owners, senior management, decision makers within recruitment agencies, all sectors across the UK.
Nice, fantastic. And typically you run some fantastic face-to-face events. But
well,
not
I used to. That's what people used to know me for, yeah. A bit an events coordinator, I suppose.
Cool.
Based the job down.
You've got a bit of echo, Simon. Have you got more than one tab open?
I always have more than one tab open.
In terms of the Crowdcast link, you've got more than one open on the top.
Hang on. What about now?
Yeah, that's much better.
I thought that was you, but I'm not technically able enough to know that was me. I just assumed it was you, Alex. Okay, that's much better. Yeah,
that's why people come to the recruiting gym, Simon, to learn. You know,
that was pissing me off. I used to do offline events, loads. So I had to retrain completely, and this is part of what your recruitment gym is, and part of what I think we're going to discuss today. Just kind of retraining, looking at new models, business strategies and whatever. I mean, I didn't even know Zoom existed until a few weeks ago. And now I'm putting my own webinars and online meetings. So yeah, that's generally what I'm all about.
And today we're talking about business models. I do have a poll. I'm trying the poll. So in the polls tab, everybody, I'm asking a question. Do you feel that the current contingent business model works for recruiters? So because what we're here to do today is to talk about the no-win, no-fee landscape and how are different agencies reworking that business model in order to earn revenue more consistently and get paid more for the time that it works. So if you've got an echo, it may be you've got two tabs open. That sometimes is what it is. I know from our side we've done everything we can do. So sorry about that, Jeremy. So right. So Simon, at the moment, what do you think the current contingent business model? Why in this environment doesn't it necessarily work for agencies?
Well, I don't think it was. I think it was ebbing out anyway. Personally, I think there's lots of things that this pandemic is going to sort it out by the time we come out at the end of it. There was very much a race to the bottom, and I think that I struggled with the fact that there are as many as 45,000, depending on who you want to listen to, recruitment agencies trading in the first place. I thought that was unsustainable, and it's certainly unsustainable when you've got a lot of those working on their own independently from their homes, well, like we all are now, but up until that point when people were, and undercutting models. And I don't think that is the way to go. I think businesses will go out of business by doing that. And it's all about relationship building. It's about getting on site, consulting with your clients, and really building a relationship that is seen as a partnership and an extension of somebody.
And I think what people sometimes forget is that the industry has sort of fragmented in terms of the different delivery models. So there are some clients that all they want is a CV. They don't want any relationship. They don't want any input. And those clients literally will do a low fee. They don't care who gets paid. In effect, we're a CV machine. And I know from a lot of the clients I've worked, traditional recruiters find clients like that very difficult to work with because it's almost like they want the easiest part of the skill set, but they don't want any of the value add, which actually is part of what makes the job meaningful for recruiters.
Yeah, exactly. But I think most recruiters, there's a habit amongst recruiters, particularly those not well trained or well versed in breaking it down, that it's a one size fits all. And if you think of how many I mean, I think you've got a stat, Alex, which I'm sure I've heard you say, where you've got the number of jobs that you actually work on that go unfilled, yet you've spent the same amount of time on it. Results in a fill. And technically, how many days a week across the year do we spend as recruiters technically working for free?
Yeah,
and that can't continue.
Yeah, and that's where sort of I think I say that if your goal is 120 grand, your day rate is £500 a day. But if you only fill 1 in 4 jobs, then that means your day rate is £2,000 a day. And I think a lot of the industry has got caught up into this whirlwind of they think they're in recruitment when they're working a vacancy, rather than actually when they're working a vacancy that they feel like they're going to get paid for.
Yeah.
And part of that is that there's not enough business development done, so recruiters don't have enough choice. But also, I think a lot of recruiters don't sell the value of their service over and above sending CVs, whether it be salary benchmarking, mapping a market, improving an interview process, running a hosted interview process, etc., etc. So what I wanted to talk about today, Simon, was what are some of the different things that you're seeing in the market to the recruiters are doing in order to adapt their business model to get more commitment from clients or get paid for the work that they do?
Okay, yeah, and this that I'm sharing has come out of the last, I'd say, sort of 5 weeks, really, where we run a number of webinars. I've done a number of surveys and obviously spoken to a number of my members individually. Let's start off by saying that most of them are coming to terms with the grips. I know this could sound really, really strange, but they're coming to terms with the word consultant and consultancy. Anne Swain said many years ago, I'll never forget it, and the magnificent Anne Swain said, if you call yourself a recruitment agency, you charge 15%. If you call yourself a recruitment consultancy, you can charge 20%. And it's the interpretation of that word and what that means. And you mentioned a couple of points there about the candidate mapping, the benchmarking, the surveys. First of all, there are lots of people now breaking down that fee into components, whether they're 3 components or 4. And that consultancy bit is the first bit where people are getting paid. So what is it you want? How does it work? What's your culture fit? Can we come on site? I'm obviously, this may change slightly.
But you can still do Zoom meetings. You can sit in on a team. And actually, it's probably easier than ever to meet maybe 3 or 4 people in the team as part of understanding the culture of an organization and understanding what the role involves. And it's harder to get people's time when they're on site. Probably online, it's maybe easier.
Yeah, quite possibly. And straight away when you're talking about that, then you're mitigating that rebate, which I'll come on to later on. But that rebate period is elongated when you got that culture bit right.
Right. Okay. And so are people sort of thinking, right, I'm going to Mr. Client or Miss Client, like my service involves, firstly, there's the consultation element, which is learning about you, and then creating a recruitment solution for you. And are they saying, this is how much of my fee is made up from that? Yeah,
they are. They're starting to work out how that might look. And like I said, the old retain model was a third, right? And often that might have involved a bit of that consultation, but nowhere near like it should do now. I mean, I know companies now that are becoming so well versed with the tech in our industry, they're actually advising their clients on their tech stack. And that's the first bit. Before they've even gone any further, depending on the role they're speaking about, they're understanding what exactly that tech stack looks like for the person they're going to try and fill the role, with, because they're now the questions that are being asked. I mean, that was unheard of, a few years ago.
Also, I mean, we were talking before about everyone says old school is a bad school, but actually, I mean, I remember in my day in the 90s, and it wasn't all bad. That like I'd spend a lot of time talking to clients about how they can use contractors and temps to support and supplement a flexible workforce. Because a lot of clients had never used that type of thing before. And my pitch was that if I was working with a client that was, say, 30, they may well have worked in 3 finance departments in their career. I probably work with 3 finance departments a week. And so my ability to advise on the different skill sets and the different ways, say, a management accountant role could be structured, is really valuable. I mean, I would see 200 finance teams a year and how they work their management, accountant and credit control teams, where they may only see one. I think recruiters often forget the value of the market intelligence that they have. So it's interesting to see that they're getting better at talking about that part of the service costs money.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, Richard, for not qualifying. That's exactly what I meant. I'm not talking about going and telling about their ATS. I'm assuming most people got that sorted, but nonetheless, that could be for a small organisation. But yeah, I meant more about their processes and how they're interviewing, how they're hiring. And like you said there, Alex, most recruiters with a good sense of knowledge and who understand the industry they're in, and this comes back to a point about niche going niche. And how most of the recruiters in my network now are looking at niche within a niche, and they really are drilling down into an absolute specialism. And also, a lot of them are diversifying as well. So they might have done one skill set that's not happening at the moment, found themselves picking up a role with their existing client they never would have picked up before, and turns out they're quite good at it. And so being adaptable and remodeling that. But when you have that knowledge, you can impart that on your client and your customer, and you can talk to them about what what the market's doing. Help them with benchmarking on salaries. Help them with commission payments if that's a thing in your industry.
And that's an important part of selling that. The second part is, and obviously I'm always conscious of time, the second part people are starting to do is talk about how they charge for candidate mapping and the sourcing activity. So some agencies now charging for sourcing. So in effect, they're saying, yeah, we'll work the vacancy. We charge this for the sourcing part of the recruitment process.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether or not that's, how this is going to look when we come out of it from that 180, 360 style, who knows? And who knows what, a resource or research is going to look like. But irrespective, that is another part. And I think at the moment, or there's been a history where that is the main component of it. That's what they're selling, and there is no other bit to it. But also conscious of the time, I think one part that has absolutely blown me away that people are looking at now, and we spoke about this within the network, is how they actually charge for their fee, and what I mean by that is the way that it's paid. And there are many people, I'm sure, potentially looking at this. There may be someone on this chat now, but if you can build a business which is as closely aligned with the contract base as it possibly could be, then you're going to be in a far better position across every day, every week, every month, certainly any challenging times.
So you said that people split perm fees across a longer period. Talk to me about how that's working, because for me, the longer I spread that perm fee across, the more I'm underwriting their ability to make that candidate work.
Yeah, okay. So what people are doing is they're looking, let's use a 10 grand fee as an example. That may be low or high, and people in this chat, I don't know. But let's use a 10 grand fee. Ordinarily, that get paid in 30 days. It's never 30 days. It's 60. If you're lucky, it might even be 90. So you're still waiting for that money. But instead of that, what they're saying is that it's a 10 grand fee. You make a down payment, which is non-refundable of, let's just say, 4, and the remaining 6 is paid to me over monthly periods, broken down as agreed. And if you have a run of those, the first one's great, but you have 10, 20 of those all being paid, it's going to give you that residual income.
I guess the sell for the client is that if the candidate doesn't work out, then they stop paying the invoices. So in effect, the rebate, there's no rebate because they're paying if the candidate works. Okay,
exactly. And the way that works is, it's going to work in different sectors, can work in different models. I think the thing that people need to get their heads around right now, I think, is this is a brilliant time to reshape your model. Most of it couldn't work previously because the business models weren't set up like it. You've got consultants who, you've got to look at the consultants who are going to go, how's my commission going to work then? Yeah. Because a lot of them like the fact they get 2 grand out of that, whatever it is their commission is off that 10 grand deal. But then that's not going to happen, is it? They're going to get paid it, but over a longer period of time. So they're going to restructure that. I
think the challenge for agencies is that the more you try and ask for money up front, the harder you've got to be able to work to find clients that want that model. Because a lot of clients are addicted to the give it to 4 agencies, let them ruin their lives, trying to find someone. And it takes a lot of courage to push back on clients and go, you know what? This role is very difficult to recruit for. I'll give you 2 hours to see who I know. But anything above that, I need to charge you up front. And where I'm seeing a lot of people get more exclusivity, especially in niche roles, whether it be like development or some other aspects of the market, is they're saying, look, this role is really difficult to recruit for. What you're getting at the moment is everyone knows it's difficult to recruit for, and everyone's giving it 3 or 4 hours. When they don't get anyone, they put it on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
But you've said this is really important. If you pay me up front, you basically buy X amount of days proactive sourcing activity. I will give you a spreadsheet of who I found, who I've approached, and what response I got from them to evidence what I've done for that money. And at the end of that, you can choose to approach them yourself. You can get me to approach them and engage that. And so I've seen a lot of agencies almost charging for the sourcing mapping part of the job and maybe the initial approach rather than necessarily the whole recruitment process.
Well, of course. So if you're working in a consultative way, then by the time you even got to the point of identifying, those candidates to put forward for the interview, you've done half the job anyway. So why should you not have got paid for that bit? If it's not on a retained, assignment, which I do think, going back to that original point, Alex, is the way that people should be looking as far as they can go with that relationship building.
I think retain sometimes overcomplicates it in the mind of the client. You just say, I charge for my sourcing effort up front, and I take that sourcing effort off my fee if you make a placement. And in exchange for that, I'll reduce the fee. So if you want to pay 15% and I normally charge 20, I'm going to charge you a third up front, and the rest will be on completion. But you also benefit from a lower fee because you paid a little bit up front. And I think what a lot of recruiters aren't comfortable in doing is trading for, if you give me more commitment and you make it more likely I'm going to get paid, I'll lower the rate. And the absolute surefire way to lose in this next 12 months is to basically take any job you get given by a client and absolutely kill yourself for no chance of getting paid. And because when we get out of the lockdown, everybody's going to need cash, and cash will be dependent upon working with clients that are willing to either pay up front or work with you on an exclusive basis that give you the best chance of making that placement.
Yeah, no, agreed, 100%. And then it comes on to, what leaders should be looking at in their hiring processes. Who knows when or how they're going to be hiring? I mean, that might be indicative to the sectors they're working in and pertinent to there. But, are people going to be hiring the same staff as they would have hired 2 months ago? I don't think so. I certainly don't think they should either. And that allows you to work in a slightly different way. You're going for a different type of person to fit a new business model, which allows you to do what we just discussed there: disruptive pricing, disruptive models. Yeah.
And you've got people like Blue Octopus that do pay everything up front, but it's only like 750 quid and we'll do all the stuff for you. But it's basically, we get paid whatever. But the takeaway for the day, because we're at time now, Simon, the takeaway for the day is like everybody to call 5 or 10 clients today. And what I'd like to ask them is this, which is we're considering moving to a model which is we break our fee into 2 parts: the briefing and candidate sourcing part, and then the recruitment process and post-placement care. What's your view on engaging a recruiter up front and paying them money up front to do the sourcing and only pay the rest on success? Let me repeat that. We're thinking of changing our business model to 2 parts: consultation and sourcing to find you the shortlist, and then managing the recruitment process and post-placement care. The first bit is paid up front. The second bit is paid on success. What's your view on a business model like that? Go and see what the view is, see what people like it, see what their concerns would be, and then begin to shape how that might work for you. So, Simon, where can everybody find you?
At my house in Sevenoaks. Now online, Simon Lewis, obviously on LinkedIn, or membersonlyuk.com.
Right, fantastic. Well, remember, everyone have a good day. Be proud of being a recruiter and work hard to find clients that value you for the skill and professionalism you have, rather than treat you like a valueless CV monkey. So see you soon, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care now. Bye.
Bye. Bye.